เหรอ
Hello. Welcome, everybody.
Hola, Andrea.
Hola, namaste. Y un placer.
Encantada, mi amor.
Hello.
Hola, buenos días.
Buenos días. Hola, Claudia.
Hola, Prema, ¿cómo estás?
Muy bien, Lisa. ¿Tú?
Bien, gracias a Dios.
Hey, Andrea.
Hey.
Hi. So I'm just going to give a few minutes to see if there's anybody else joining. And you can set up yourself in a comfortable space. We are going to be on this live stream for about an hour and a half. So if you feel there's an appropriate space that you can land in where you won't be interrupted, you're more than welcome to do so. And as more people join in, I'm going to share the screen with all of you.
Prima, vamos a necesitar para anotar. Es para buscar un momentito.
Sí, definitivamente, si pueden tener un cuaderno y un lapicero, sería excelente. Can you all hear me well? Okay, wonderful. So yes, if you have a notebook and a pen, that would be really useful. I will be sharing the slides with all of you at the end of the first session, but it's useful, especially if you have questions. I think this is all of us. So namaste, warm welcome to all of you who are here. It really is an honor to be holding this space. I was reflecting this morning on everything that's happening in the world right now and all the uncertainty, and how we are all looking for different anchoring points or security points or things that will help us be grounded in such uncertain times. And it was interesting because this workshop wasn't as popular as I thought it would be, and it made me reflect on the sacredness and the importance that it is to hold this space for all of us who do want to do the work. And so I want to start by recognizing that and honoring that, and meeting you all with a lot of gratefulness for being present and being willing to do this work and go deeper into our hearts and also understand our minds. And so this is the invitation of the workshop. As you know, the workshop is titled The Structuring Layers of Ourself. And so we will be approaching ourself through different dimensions. Primarily through Advaita Vedanta, which is the doctrine of non-duality, which we will dive into, but also Buddhism, as well as psychoanalysis. And this is really precious for me because as we go deeper into our spiritual work, sometimes we meet a lot of obstacles that have no explanation. And I have learned throughout my years of study that psychoanalysis has a lot to give. And not from a perspective of limiting the mind, but rather recognizing how the mind works and how the mind functions. And when we have a clear understanding, we can open our hearts more deeply and therefore have more spiritual power. This all began really because when I met my teacher, I was quite impressed. I was in psychology school, and it felt quite limiting for me. I was beginning to practice meditation and had found a lot of insights. And when I met my teacher, I realized that what he had done, he had spent 12 years in a monastery, in an ashram in India, and he was a Westerner. And what he recognized was that there were many Westerners that were really drawn to the spiritual path, and they would have moments of what is called satori, or a momentary glimpse of freedom, of enlightenment, of peace. And yet that would fade away. And it was difficult to have a sustained state of peace and a sustained clear mind. Okay, if it's possible, if it's okay with all of you to have yourself muted so that we don't have interference patterns. And there will be moments in which I'll ask you to unmute, and actually really soon we will all introduce ourselves. But for the time being, if you can please mute yourself so that we don't have interference patterns with the audio. And so anyway, diving into the spiritual work, I have found that there's a really important place for psychological understanding. And so we will go into the psychological aspect of it, but from a framework that is much wider and that recognizes that we are not only our minds, and that those limiting patterns do not define us. And that's the whole point of it. And so I would love to start by actually hearing from you, because many of you I don't know personally, and I would love to know, what is your framework? Why are you here? What does meditation mean to you? What is your relationship to meditation? And maybe you can introduce yourself and say your name, where are you calling from? And also for me, it's useful to understand that where all of you are, because then maybe this workshop has more sense rather than me just giving a lecture. I would love to hear from you, and so that it can be, there's a lot of theory in this workshop, but more than having it be a mind, a memorization, a theoretization of these subjects, is really, okay, let's use these frameworks to dive deeply into our hearts. Does that make sense? Okay, excellent. So whoever wants to begin talking, you can unmute yourselves and we can go over if you feel comfortable sharing.
I can start. My name's Andrea. I'm calling from Kansas City, Missouri in the States. And my relationship to meditation is as a student. So I'm very open but new. So as much as I take away from this workshop will be amazing. I'm looking forward to it.
Great. I'm so happy you're here. Really, really glad.
I will continue. Hi, everyone. My name is Claudia. I live in San Jose, Costa Rica. Nice to meet you. Say hi to all of you today. My relationship with meditation is pretty recent, and as a beginner, 1 year ago, I didn't practice any meditation at all, and I always thought that it is some kind of very deep in the mind and profound that I couldn't access really. So my relationship right now, I started just with 2 or 3 minutes a day. I do it in the morning. Now I can spend 10, 15 minutes. I love to program my mind and to set it in positive thoughts. And I started to saw that there's a big difference the day that I do meditations and the day I don't. So I started to love it.
Beautiful. Thank you, Claudia. What do you notice when you say there's a difference between when you do meditate and when you don't? What can you tap into the difference?
Sure. I think that I have more focus, and I have more peace. And so, and somehow I have a few seeds in my mind that reminds me that I can cope with my day, that I have within me anything that I need for that day. And if I make a mistake, that's okay. That's something that's human, and that's something that that I will learn for. But if not, the day just goes crazy, and sometimes I in a roller coaster of emotions, and I go through with the flow of the day. That's the difference. When I do meditate, I feel more in peace and in control, no matter what.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I think a lot of us will agree with that, and think the purpose of learning these concepts is also to have a network that allows us to access a meditative state, even if we're not sitting down and meditating, and allow that to be consistent throughout our day. But we need a glimpse. It's like if I tried to describe to you how something tastes, like a meal, for instance, and you haven't tasted, it's not going to be as appealing. And it's the same with our inner world. If we know how it tastes like when we access our freedom internally, then there will be a framework of reference when we're having a challenging situation, or our triggers are being pulled, or we feel frustrated, to remember how it felt like when we could access the state of being, and to know that is always available, right?
Exactly. And at the end, even if it's 5 minutes a day, every day it's a new seed, or it's a seed growing into a plant. So in the long term, it's really good.
Hola. Hello, everyone. I am Adriana. I am very happy to be here. Thank you, Prema. And for me, what meditation means is a challenge for my mind. This is something that I wanted to bring to my life. And well, it's not a coincidence that this invitation appeared. So for me, I'm very happy to be here and trying to be more connected with my meditation practice. I always do meditation, but it's a little bit hard for me because the mind start to talk me, and then I'm thinking, oh, I have to do this, and then I have to do that. I didn't feed my dog, or things like that. So yes, for me, it's a challenge. I'm very open to learn more, and I'm very happy, as I said, to be here. And what I really want with this activity that we are sharing is to connect with my inner part and function more from my inner and not from the outside. So I think this will help me a lot. So thank you.
You're welcome, Ari. It's a joy to have you here.
Okay. Hi everyone, I'm Chris from here, Costa Rica, living in Heredia. And for me, I think a couple of years ago, I was feeling a little bit lost. I couldn't connect my mind and my heart. So I was just like being really unhappy through my days. And I was looking for something to reconnect my mind and my heart, my body, my consciousness. My mother has been meditating and doing yoga and all this for like 10, 15 years from now. So I talked to her. She recommended me, why you don't try meditation? And I was like, okay, let's do it. I went one day, and it was like automatic for me. I just like connected for a little bit, like I think for 1 minute with my inner self. So since that moment, I thought, well, if this helped me like in 1 minute, probably if I continue learning about this practice, it will be good for me. So also like 2 years from now, I started from small steps, and till now it's part of me. I just meditate 20 minutes every day, and it's like a way to reconnect, as Adri said, myself, my heart, my mind, just feeling good with myself right now. So that's my story. Thank you, Prema, for letting me be over here.
Hi, can you hear me? I tried to talk before, but okay, perfect. I'm Daniela. Nice to meet you, everyone. So my story is kind of similar to Chris's. I started looking into meditation maybe around 2017. I was living in Vietnam, and well, I was surrounded by Buddhism and all these different temples, and I was going through a very hard personal time. I was depressed, and I thought meditation would be like my a way to heal this path I was going through. And I started looking into it very on the surface, and I didn't practice it as much. I just thought it was like, I don't know, you do it 10 minutes a day and then you're better. But when I started working with Prema about 5 months ago, I've been doing a 6 month journey with her. I started gaining more understanding of meditation is more about being present in every moment and trying to sustain this maybe energy or being of just appreciating everything that's around and feeling joyful to be in this world, and maybe not using it as an escape from the world, but more as a grounding practice. So I think Prema is a great teacher, and without her, I think I would still be meditating with an app, not even knowing what I'm doing. So thank you for this space, really. It's great. And I'm in Costa Rica.
Thank you, Dani. It's been beautiful to watch you blossom. I'm so happy you're here.
Hi, I'm Micaela. I live here in Costa Rica, and I started meditating a long time ago, but I was not really like sure what I was doing. Then I stopped for a while, but then whenever I came back to Costa Rica and I started to like practice a lot more yoga, I like started to meditate a lot, like every day in the morning, and I started to realize how I was starting to understand myself more and what I wanted. Like everything started to like clear up because I was going through like a process of, I was living in the US and then I moved to Costa Rica, so I was like in a limbo. But now I'm like whenever I started meditating, I feel like it helped me to like pause, and then I could like clearly think about what I really liked and what I really wanted. Even like, well, like Dani said, I use it like a grounding tool too. Like it has helped me ground myself so much. And like it has helped me in every single aspect of my life. Even like listening, when people talk to me, I listen more, and like my attention is like even better. And because I'm like very dispersed, and I feel like meditation has helped me to like bring my energy and like within me, because it was like all around me. So yeah, I love meditating, and Prema has actually helped me a lot with like tools, and all the videos that she sent me is very interesting, and it has helped me a lot.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marisol. I'm from Costa Rica, and I think I'm on the baby step side of meditation, but I do believe that every time I meditate, I feel better. I feel more presence. So I am really, really excited for today and to learn everything you got. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gabriela. I live in Costa Rica. My relationship to meditation has not been constant. I've always been fascinating with the Eastern culture, Buddhism, meditation. I actually studied psychology, and as Prema said, it did not fulfill me until I started learning about other cultures and traditions and healing practices. But I haven't practiced it as much. Meditation and these types of workshops help me ground myself and reconnect to my center when I'm feeling I'm living life in automatic pilot. So this is a way for me to reconnect with myself.
Awesome. It's great to have you here, Gabi. This is Gabi's second workshop in a row. She's doing the same one. So it's awesome to have you here and to continue doing the work, because again, it's not, we can have a lot of theory in our minds, but it's until we actually decide to take that theory into practice and live from the heart what we have learned, then that we can begin doing that shift. And until then keep showing up to the practice, keep showing up to the teachings, keep reading, keep doing all the work. So it's great to have you here, Gabi.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Sunday. My name is Raul. I've had a few experiences with meditation, guided meditation mainly, mostly, and mostly because of yoga. I'm a yoga practitioner, so many yoga instructors have guided meditation that I've participated in, but only, I'd say, less than 10 in many years. And I'm very interested in this workshop because I guess my interest in meditation and all these psychology issues is the intersection between religion and wellness. And I am agnostic since I was 15. So I've always had a lot of interest in the other religions and cultures. Very happy to be here. Nice to meet you all.
It's great to have you here, Raul. I have a question. Did you go to St. Mary's School?
Yes, actually did. Tell me, why do you ask?
Awesome, because I went to St. Mary from kindergarten till I graduated from high school, and I remember you, so it's great to have you here.
Oh, it's great to see you again. What year did you graduate?
2012.
12, okay, yeah, so 7 years younger than me. That's probably why I don't place you. Well, I just see you again.
Likewise. And it's really important what you say. I actually didn't have that planned for this workshop, but it's a great point, because this is not about necessarily religion or dogma, although we do get into the insights of those religions, but it's not emphasizing one in particular. And one of the things that fascinate me the most in terms of our spiritual work is the role that etymology plays in our understanding of things. Etymology is like the root of where words come from, and religion comes from the Latin religare, which means to reunite. And so when we're looking at all of these traditions, at all of these religions, what we are understanding is that the religion beyond the dogma was the approach of allowing the individual to unite its limited self with the higher self, or with God consciousness, or with the Christ self, or with the Buddha nature, or with the no self, or infinite ways of describing the Tao, Mother Earth, like so many words to describe this one force that we are intuitively connecting to via meditation. So it's great that you brought up the point, because it's not necessarily a dogmatic approach, and when we understand the functions that religions used to have in an ancient world where everything was pure, then then it makes a little bit more sense why these religions exist. Unfortunately, it has been degraded with time, but that's why meditation opens such a beautiful space for that authentic reconnection. Really, Gary. It's great to have you, and
Very
great.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Daniela. I'm from Costa Rica and I live in the Middle East. My relationship to meditation, well, I live, well, I guess as many of us, I live in a very busy lifestyle. Yeah, meditation for me has been really grounding, as some of you guys said. It has helped me connect a lot with, not only with myself, but with other people on a different way, a more understanding, caring, and loving way, as well as with nature and everything that's around. It has given me a lot of clarity, especially during times of like so many things going on in our minds. Also, somebody said this autopilot mode that we sometimes live with. I'm still a student, still learning. I feel maybe I've gained a lot of theory by reading or different testimonies of people and everything. However, I feel that I want to have a more intimate relationship with meditation. I want to experience it more by myself and not only by all these things that we learn from other sources, but like really be able to experience it more. And yeah, I feel like every day it's different. Some days my mind is all over, or maybe some days I just don't feel like meditating. I'm not a constant person, honestly, but every time I do it, I know all the benefits that it brings. So yeah, definitely it's something that I want to be more constant with, so I can really get to experience the whole experience. And yeah, different types of meditations. And yeah, so thank you, Prema, once again for opening another of these really nice spaces to connect with other people. Thank you. Gracias.
Okay, Gabby, do you want to introduce yourself? We can't hear you. Okay. Okay, so we have no audio. Well, maybe you can write in the chat box, and if it works, then later you can introduce yourself. I met Gary this morning. My uncle introduced us, so it's great to have her here. Welcome. If you figure out how to unmute yourself, let me see if I can unmute yourself. Okay. All right. Well, what we want to go is into silence, so I guess it's appropriate. But if you can unmute yourself, then please do so and say hello. So after hearing what all of you have said, which is beautiful, and seeing all the different backgrounds, but the same intention, and the word that Dani used of building an intimate connection to meditation, building an intimate connection to ourselves, is so beautiful when we actually reflect on what that means, and the root of intimacy, to be quite in touch with it and to be really connected with ourselves. And I want to open with a quote from Jack Kornfield that speaks about what freedom is, because many times we approach meditation in a quest for freedom, internal freedom. And he says that free is not free from feelings, but rather free to feel. Sorry, this window is on top of the text. One moment. Okay. free is not to be free from feelings, but free to feel each one and let it move on, unafraid of the movement of life. And he writes this in the book, A Path with Heart. And so we are starting with this Buddhist frame of reference of allowing ourselves to experience the things as they come and they go. And there's a beautiful poem by Rumi called The Guest House that I would love Dani Pereira to read, that speaks about exactly this same principle of allowing.
¿Ahora me escuchan? Sí. Okay, The Guest House by Rumi. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door, laughing, and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond.
Thank you, Dani. So this reclaiming of the awareness to feel is a difficult process that many of us have been taken away from. And sometimes as we are growing up through different conditionings, we are not allowed to express what is really going on, or even to be in touch with what is really going on. I think sometimes feelings arise that we don't allow ourselves to experience. And so it's not like they disappear, they get suppressed or repressed. And so the whole point of this workshop is to open up that drawer where all of these feelings have been stored through these different layers that we will go into. And through a compassionate mindset, through a loving heart, we allow ourselves to feel and to explore that. And there is this very precious concept in Buddhism called the cycle of emerging conditions. And it refers to basically how we begin suffering, or how we begin to entangle ourselves and get lost. So when pleasant feelings arise, we feel excitement and we want to attach to them. When negative feelings come up, we want to refrain from them, reject them, repel them. And this creates this ongoing relationship of tension between our being. And a meditative mindset is one that can contain those cycles, whether it be of joy or of sorrow, or of shame or of malice, or of everything that was mentioned in the poem by Rumi, who is a Sufi poem. So he's all into the mystical, alchemical relationship with life, to never shun away something, but rather to welcome it from a compassionate and nurturing standpoint. So through meditation, what we are learning is to build a container in which all of these feelings arise, and we have the capacity to, through wisdom, work with them and rise in consciousness. Because every time that we set something back, it's going to come back at us with more power. This is something that Carl Jung referred to in his work as enantiodromia, which is basically a pendulum that should be at center, right? But when we go into one direction, it will go immediately into the other. It's like it's the polar opposites. You can't have one without the other. And so what we want to find is this awakened heart that can allow everything to be as it is. And this is the path of growth and transformation. So the ego, which we'll get more into, is always in a state of homeostasis. It always wants to stay balanced. But balance for the ego is not necessarily the balance for the heart or for the soul or for our spirit. And so growth begins when we have the capacity to clearly see, contain and transmute these energies, as I was saying. And I love the metaphor of the phoenix. I think in a moment where there's so many actual fires going on the planet, it's the metaphor of the phoenix comes in really handy. So many things are dying within us, within our relationships, within the world. And so how do we take that death and rise from it completely anew, having learned from that experience? And so our refusal to go into that death with honor, let's say, it's a self-sabotage. It's our refusal to grow and to show up to life. So the ego, as I was saying, is constantly trying to be in homeostasis, but it's not the balance of the spirit, it's the balance of its own limited self. So it's really different. We're trying to go for the higher balance, not the ego balance. Because the ego balance is usually like zombied out or in autopilot, like somebody mentioned. And so that autopilot is a self-sabotage in itself, because if we are constantly trying to have our own security, be in our own platforms, we're not allowing ourselves to show up to the degree that life is asking us to show up, with the responsibility, with the courage, etc. So it's really important to have that in mind, where this workshop is about growth, life is about transformation, and it doesn't ever stop. But we have tools, and the framework of this workshop is Gyana Yoga. So there's many different branches of yoga, and Gyana Yoga is wisdom yoga. Is the yoga that allows us, through understanding, through clear understanding, see everything that is happening, both our conscious and unconscious mind, and also the supraconscious mind, to have access to our unlimited potential, to the truth of who we are.